Yo, it's live. What's up, everybody? It is Thursday, June 12th. We got Adam Peak coming at you. We got Corey Connors. You got me, Avelio Matos. We each obviously host our own podcasts. Beyond this,
when Raising the Roof was a thing?
Is it not a thing?
Still is.
It is.
I'm always raising the roof. Yeah.
That's right. Keep the roof up. That's what I always say. So, all right, today on the Packaging Today show, we're going to just talk about why we even do the show, why it's important to have a community. I know there's a ton of different news outlets out there for the packaging industry, but nothing really brings everybody together where you can ask questions, you can share some of your new successes, like, hey, I just sold this, or I just designed this, or even ask questions like, hey, I created this. What do you think? How can I do it better? And it's not just the three of us answering. I think it's everybody in the comments. We've seen a lot of friendships develop from people in the comments, not just amongst us, but together.
And partnerships. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of cool stuff happening. So definitely.
My favorite thing is actually the beginning of the show when we get. And then packaging shirts. Those are all of my favorites.
I just ordered mine.
I saw that. You could have just asked.
No, but I want to contribute to this society.
I appreciate it. www.packagingfashion.com. And
go check it out.
Yeah, go check it out.
Yeah, we got Brian. Brian's shared some packaging with us recently. We'll be talking about that one next week. We're going to go over it and get some questions answered from Brian, but then also if you see the packaging that we share and you've got questions about like how they achieved it or any of that stuff, like this is the place to ask.
Stuff.
Yeah, send us your stuff. Let's take a look at it. Send us your package.
Yeah, show us your package.
That's right. That's Adam always says. All right. So since we've been
why do you do this? It's for the money, isn't it?
It's for all the money.
Guys, dozens. We're like dozenaires.
That's right.
Because of this show. Just rolling like Scrooge McDuck. If that money, if those gold coins
were
corrugated coins,
we would have lots.
Yeah. Yes. Why do you do this, Adam?
Okay. I know that I'm one who's always serious. And so I will.
It's true.
I started making content because I felt like we have this incredible industry. It's one of the largest in the world, and just nobody was really doing it. This was like 2011, 2012, which is now a long time ago. And so for me, I just wanted to talk about what I was doing, but I could also learn, because when you put yourself out there, then people want to bring you down. That's just a natural thing. And so because of that, I would get a lot of people like, you don't know what you're talking about, especially early on. I was like, yes, I don't. So who else can I talk to about this? And that's what led to the podcast, which was like, I get to now learn. I just had an episode that I put out this morning with Lauren Seidel Baker from ITR Economics. And we talked about tariffs, and we talked about, these are things that I'm not an expert in at all, but it's really been great to be able to learn and then share what I learn and sort of just be a conduit and a connector in the industry. And that's why I keep going. So I started it because I felt like there was a void, and I keep going because I love connecting with people and learning more and more and more about things. And you only learn by wearing overalls. You learn that people don't like overalls. That's
no, and I think to be honest, like really all of this is because of you, Adam, right? Like, you had me on the podcast. I think like right after we had a conversation. Actually, your partner.
You were like episode like 4, and you did a phone interview with Ted Tate. Shout out to Ted.
Yeah,
we just talked to you the other day, and it was like early on, it was just like, just get content out there. So the early recordings of my podcast are not good quality, just fair warning. episodes 1 through probably 20 are just, again, like trying to figure it out.
Yeah, you guys just get out there.
But
can't wait for everything to be perfect.
Yeah, you can't let perfection become the enemy of progress. And so, yeah, but it's been fun to connect with you guys and to connect with other people and to see people like Megan Young Gamble, start her podcast. And just life is so much more fun when it's lived with other people. And I think that that's a mantra that I've always lived by. And so it's been cool to have you guys join and other people join too.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's always great. Like when we ask people to post like where they're watching, where they're listening from, and you get, it's not just the States, you get people coming from everywhere. And that's what's awesome.
Which you should do right now. Post where you're listening from right now.
Like we've got Bala Subarian who comes in, I think, and I pronounced your name incorrectly, but he's coming in from, all the way from India. We've got people coming in all the way from like Argentina, from Colombia. We've got people coming in from Egypt. We've got people coming in from everywhere across Europe. So it's always great to see. And then
even
Oregon. Can I add to that? Hey, real quick, hang on, real quick.
But it's good to see people also then connect with each other,
right?
That they would have in the first place. You just don't get a chance to meet people from around the planet.
So I posted a picture just about my wife, right? And it reminded me because my friend John Shaddai, who is a designer from Africa who lives in Dubai, and he designs packaging. And when I was in Dubai for the UN COP28, we went to Starbucks and we hung out and we talked, and it was just like this cool reminder of the connected nature of the industry, because packaging is truly global. And to be able to take a relationship that's online and move it into just like hanging out with somebody, like the three of us get to hang out at all these shows. That's my favorite part. The unrecorded stuff is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, just
the before and the after the show. Yeah.
But even just like at a restaurant, talking about life,
actually in person.
Like all that stuff I enjoy. So and meeting people like Chris and Brian, who are coming in from Colorado and Chicago.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
You guys are my brothers, and I appreciate you both. And I've learned so much from you both, and this community has been incredible. We are often stopped at events, and people almost always say, "I love your podcast, the one that you do with Adam and Avelio. That's the one that they really enjoy. This is the one, I should say, that they really enjoyed the most. Of course, our other 3 podcasts are great, and they like those, but they're
so average. I mean, this is by far
number
1 and number 2.
Yeah, I mean, when you're not top 3, it's tough to be like. No, you'll get there, Adam.
Right,
thank you.
Again,
the arbitrary metrics of a website really determines my self-worth and value in the world.
Thank you. I wanted to also shout out Adam, because again, without Adam, the 2 of us wouldn't have done these podcasts. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Leadership.
Adam and Ted. All right, man. So just real quick, hey, wait.
Hey, wait a second.
Hold on.
I just saw an article come across my desk from Charlie.
The news.
The news.
How was that for a sound effect? I felt like that was like a C- sound.
Yeah, that was perfect. All right. So in India, they're now requiring like all plastic bottles to be 30% PCW. And it's like a big hubbub. Coke, Pepsi are challenging this. But I think it's because the amount of material that's actually being processed in order to now achieve that 30% isn't necessarily realistic. But from the government side, they're looking at all the plastic they see on the streets, all the waste that's washing up on shores, and they're like, we've got to do something with this. But the problem and the solution don't always come together properly. If it's in the water, it's been degraded enough that you can't necessarily reprocess that and make it into something good. Right. But I get that they're trying to avoid plastic that can be recycled going into landfills. But I think you have to work with the brands and see what's realistic and work with infrastructure before you can go ahead and be like, hey, this is what's required. Because now there's a problem, there's a problem in finding the resources in order to achieve these numbers at the volume that these brands are selling product into this country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a cart before the horse situation. We need to set up the system of recycling and make it more effective.
If we can we just go back to talking about me for a second?
No,
No,
Anyway.
it does remind me. I had Andrew from Plastics for Change on. He moved to India from Canada, and just about like restoring dignity and worth and value to the waste collectors in India. I know John Shwaya. Is that how you say his name?
Yes, from Africa.
Yeah, is doing a similar thing. So I don't
That was
mind
a great
when-
episode, by the way. Really enjoyed having him on. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. I actually have his coming out next week on mine. So, but like, I don't mind when a government says, "Hey, this is what we want to have happen," because I think it does highlight the complexities of. That's right, Hugh. Let's just keep talking about me, and why labels are packaging. But it does highlight the complexities of the supply chain of recycling. And I think can force innovation in order to hit whatever the demand is.
Yeah. Well, and John mentioned that they've got 36,000 people that make a living off of recycling in Africa, where he lives in Kenya, and it's an amazing group of people. And he's the president of that society that supports those amazing people working hard to support their families. And they don't need a lot of help. They just need little things like, food and healthcare and personal protection equipment, things like that.
Right.
And then they're saving up for a new truck, and so that they can deliver directly to the recyclers rather than the middleman, which would make them a lot more successful. So things like that are exciting.
Well, it takes me back to like was it Lumbani, who's doing recycling plastic into bricks, and they showed videos of them out there with like fire pits and plastic and these buckets, and they're just melting everything, and they have like zero, like in flip-flops.
Yeah.
Right. So I know a handful of people from this community reached out and like, hey, how can we help you? Like, you're doing something that's beneficial. You're building a business. You're also like helping your community, but how can we support you? And, I think like the three of us pitched in, we got them protective gear, like the garments and the boots and everything, so they can continue to do that. And he's always sharing the stuff that they're doing. But it's just, again, it's just like building community, helping wherever we can. Going to Chris's question here. You guys, except for Adam, are obviously great communicators. What are the biggest challenges you've seen in fostering communication and collaboration across different roles in packaging?
I think it's interpreting, from sales to engineering, or marketing to, the C levels, C-suite, or something like that. I think you have to speak the language. You have to come at it from the way that they will interpret that information. So, and I think that's just true in life. When you're trying to communicate with someone, you have to go at it in a way that makes sense to them. When you're talking to your kids, you're going to talk about something differently because their interests and what will motivate them. Or when you're talking to a coworker, you need to speak at it from their point of view.
Yeah, no cap, Rizzler. Jeez.
Yeah, man, it's Guy Rizzi over here.
Yeah, Tung Tung. Whatever that thing was.
Dude,
go ahead,
That's
Billy.
nothing.
all right, so
Italian brain rot. Do you have an answer for this question?
for which one?
For Chris's question, because you're a great communicator.
No, I think Corey nailed it. I think
It's a good point. Mic drop. I'll see you guys later.
no, I think
Corey's last show.
we all come at it from different perspectives. Like I'm on the design side. Some you guys are on the sales side, and you guys do different things. Obviously sustainability. We all kind of cover that. but because we each kind of focus in different areas, we bring different people from different audiences, and then that's kind of what's bringing that conversation, right? Like when we talk about specific materials, some designers might be like, "Hey, I didn't even realize that," and they'll ask questions about it. Or designers are talking about something, something in the comments, and somebody will come in and go, "Hey, I produced that. Like maybe we should connect."
Yeah.
So I think just having it, I don't think this is, it's not the challenges. It's more what's making it just work.
I think
I
one of
don't
the
think
challenges I've seen in CPGs though is that they don't bring packaging engineers and packaging designers in early enough in the process. And I think that's been a continual problem is packaging for a lot of companies is still an afterthought in marketing and branding. Not as much, but I think that sometimes we overstate it because we're just inundated with packaging content all the time. But when you go to a CPG, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, like I talked to somebody at in Dubai actually at COP28, and they were like, I didn't even think about packaging for sustainability. Like that's cool that you're here, and I'm like, you didn't. That's crazy. And this is a giant company, and they were a VP, and they just hadn't even thought about because they were so fixated on like transportation and carbon emissions and that kind of stuff, which is all part of it. So I just think that as much as we talk about the industry and as much as we try to communicate about the industry, there's so much more room for greater communication and more people to talk about it because it still can be a bit of an afterthought in a lot of CPGs. And so I just always encourage everybody bring in engineers, bring in designers with your R&D team. Like make that because the packaging is part of the product. So if you're iterating a new product, consider the packaging and bring them in then. It's not just like, oh yeah, we need packaging for this. So
and it's often the difference between a successful launch and a failure. So
yeah,
I think people need to bring it in at the very start of a new project.
Avella, you can stay muted for the rest of the conversation if you want.
Yeah, we got this.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate
Every
that.
time it mutes, I get excited. I'm like, oh, but yeah.
Hey, not to derail this completely, but hey, wait.
So he says.
I don't know about you guys, but here's how this crosses my mind quite a bit lately, and I don't really know how to bring it up, to be honest. I think like we're talking about boxes, we're making jokes, we're talking about packaging and having a good time about like something that anybody outside of this industry will be like, this is the stupidest thing you guys can possibly talk about.
100%.
But then you flip on the news, you scroll through social, you go through, what's happening in the world, and there's like a lot of stuff happening, from, there's so much going on that sometimes I feel like this is the stupidest thing that we could possibly do.
Yeah.
Like I feel silly sometimes making jokes and laughing about this stuff when there's all these other things happening as well.
Yeah.
And affecting people differently. I know, like, there were just recent ICE raids at at 3 packaging plants, food packaging plants in Nebraska, and then there was one in California this morning. I mean, there's just so much stuff that does impact packaging, but it doesn't always have to revolve around packaging.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. I mean, I actually think that human beings are not capable of handling the amount of information that we try to take in, much less having an informed opinion about every global issue that you're supposed to be informed about. And so, I mean, I was actually having a conversation with somebody about this yesterday, and I was like, I have 6 kids that live in my house. I have a full-time job. I have multiple people that I do consulting for. We have 2 podcasts. Like I host a basketball podcast out of nowhere. Like, so, and that's not to make light of everything that's happening. It's just to understand that I've spent now 18 years in the packaging industry. I have informed opinions about packaging, and I will speak about that from a position of a level of authority that is commensurate with the amount of time that I put into it. When it comes to like immigration, for example, I'm recording an episode next week with a brand that is started by and run by immigrants from Mexico. And we're going to talk about these things because I want to ask them questions. I rarely feel qualified to speak publicly on these issues, either through my social media or what, because I have a lot that is happening in my life. I cannot possibly be informed about all of it. And so that's why I feel comfortable talking about this and having fun. It's not because there aren't problems that are happening in the world. There are horrible, egregious problems happening at all points of time all across the world. It's just, from my perspective, for 30 minutes, Monday through Friday, this is a time that I can talk about this one thing. And that's not to say it's because I'm ignoring everything. It's because I feel ill-equipped and uninformed to do much. And until I become informed on that, which we live in a society now, if I can get a little soapbox, we live in a society now that's like, you have to have hot takes. You have to know about everything, and you can learn everything through Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And that's not how the world works. Like, there are people who spend 25 years studying immigration policy and, all that. Like, they are super well informed. Or like this lady I had on, Lauren, she's so well informed about economics. Like, go ask her about tariffs and about economics. Like, we have opinions on it, but like, there are people out there who are subject matter experts that you should go listen to. And it's not the talking heads, it's not the opinion columnists. It's usually people who are on the ground
doing the work,
who are living in the communities, who are doing the work. Like, please go follow them and become informed that way. That would be my take on Off the Soapbox now.
It's never been about us. It's always been about who we have on our shows. We are the conduit. We are the platform to allow to elevate other people in the industry and show off what they know. And I think that's my favorite part of doing the interviews and getting to know people that are frankly so much more informed than I am about their niche or their expertise.
Yeah. Like we talked about Jonathan Quinn. Like, we brought up the U.S. Plastics Pact, and it's like, we should have Jonathan Quinn on to talk about the U.S. Plastics Pact.
Why are we talking about
know.
Yeah,
He's the CEO of the U.S. Plastics Pact. Like, if you want to know about that, like, talk to Jay Quinn. We're happy to facilitate introductions to these people. But that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, no, it's I just didn't want to like ignore it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, how could you talk about this? Or I always get the comments of whether they're commented on posts or DMs where they're like, of course you lean that way because you designed packaging for Donald Trump and you designed packaging for Elon Musk. It's like, this was years ago. Or they'll be like, of course you lean this way because you lived in California and you are like, dude, you can't win. And not that I'm trying to with the audience, but it's like, there's so much going on.
They always try to put you in a box. Yeah.
Well, imagine being a Tesla owner. Like, you bought a Tesla 5 years ago and you were like part of the people who are saving the planet. And now you're driving it around and people are like angry at you. It's like, it's almost impossible to win, especially today in America, because everything is just so divisive, except for packaging. This is our community of people. And I feel like there's something really important about like creating a community like this, that we can talk about this stuff and not to ignore the things that are happening, right? But to talk about them from our perspective. And then if you want more details on stuff, we'll connect you up with, like, I know, for example, like personally, I know pastors in LA who are living in LA, who are, predominantly in Hispanic communities. They're Hispanic pastors who I'm following, like their live Instagram. Like, I'm happy to connect you with those people like that, who are like there if you want to know like what's happening with the protests and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I live in Utah. But I can connect you with people. Like, I love connecting people with other people. That's my biggest driver in this community.
Same. No, I definitely enjoy doing that. And I think part of this community too is that I'm not judging you know, I don't know about you two guys, but I'm not judging which side you're leaning on. At the end of the day, like the goal is to improve packaging for consumers. Doesn't matter where they're shopping from or what they're buying, and then also like reduce, like help lightweight, help choose the right materials, help them make smarter decisions that are going to kind of lead to more sustainable businesses. Like that. That's really the end. Like I don't really care one way or another. I think just like Hugh says here, just treat everybody with respect. Take the time to listen. That's kind of a big part of what we're doing here.
Yeah, well said, Hugh.
I had a 30-minute conversation with a packaging engineering student at Michigan State about like career advice this week. I mean, to your point of value, it's like we just want to help people in our industry understand and learn and grow and connect and elevate the industry. We need more young people in the industry.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen if we're not creating questionably educational and entertaining content. We're doing better. We're trying to do better.
Yeah.
Chris Olsen's wrong, by the way. Chris Olsen could not be wronger.
Chris, that's no longer a goal. That is like Thanos. It's inevitable.
Whoa. Big words.
Chris's comment is the goal is to make everyone agree that labels are packaging. And with that being completely wrong, we're going to wrap this up. Do us a favor if you're listening to this on Spotify on the repeat, go watch this on YouTube, leave comments, go check it out on LinkedIn, connect with us, DM us. We're happy to